Okay, so let me show you how to set up PostLab Server. PostLab Server lets you run GitLab on your Mac with some specific PostLab settings. It uses Docker to run the official GitLab container, but then without any command line hassle. And when you open PostLab Server, you get notified that when you don't have Docker installed, you need to install it. PostLab Server can do this for you, or you can simply choose to do it manually, but you need to create an account. And PostLab Server uses Brew to install Docker. And let's start that up. It will open a terminal window, and you need to put in your password. And it will install Brew in this case. If you've got Brew installed, it will simply update it and then install Docker on your system. If you don't know what Docker is, Docker will let you run a container. And what is a container? A container is sort of a combination of an operating system and software, and then tweak with the right settings, and that will always run on any system that has Docker installed, and it's pretty fast as well. So, for example, GitLab uses a lot of software like a web server, database, Git itself, Ruby, Rails, etc. You could of course install all those manually, but a container is sort of a working snapshot of an entire environment that you could run at any time, and it will always work. So you see it's now installing Docker, and Docker is it will run in your menu bar, and it's successfully installed now. That's great. It will also open Docker right away, so you've got to say that you want that. Give your password again. And you see it running there in your menu bar, starting up. We can close the terminal for now. Yeah, so it's running. So go back to PostLab Server, and as soon as you click on the window, it will notice that Docker is already running, but GitLab is not running. So GitLab is running inside Docker. So first thing you got to do is edit your settings. And this is the location where all the data of the GitLab server will be installed. You can change it, of course, but this is the default setting inside of your library application support. Below that, you've got the most important setting that you can set. This is the address your user will use to connect to your server. Default, it's the 127.0.0.1, which is not able for your users to reach because it's always your local host. So put in your IP address. You can simply click on your IP address and see that, but or your DNS server or whatever. Make sure you've got that configured. In this example, though, I will use the 127 address. But it's only usable for my computer. Below that, you've got some default ports. If you've got server.app installed as well, server.app will claim these ports, so you gotta pick some other ports. And default, it will install the HTTP server. If you want to have HTTPS, which is a pretty good idea in this modern age, you can click on that link and it will go to the GitLab documentation to install certificates and set it up. Below that, you've got advanced settings, and I will show you them in a minute. And so let's hit save for now. And you get a warning that localhost is only usable for your own machine, but that's okay for now. So when we click on, it will rebuild GitLab from scratch. And the first time, though, it might take a while because it will download the image from, it will download the container image from GitLab itself. So that will take a while. The the next time it will start up pretty fast. In the meantime, let's go over to Docker preferences. So GitLab only runs when Docker is running. So you've got a preference to start Docker desktop as soon as you log in. When this is your main serve, that's a pretty good idea to do that. Also include the VM and time machine backups. That's a pretty good idea as well. You can also set here the amount of CPUs and memory you'd like your GitLab server to have. If you find the server getting slow, you can adjust some settings here to make it faster. So here you can see in the background that it's starting. And here are all the logs from your container. And you can click refresh or do Command R and it will refresh as well. And this is here you can see it's basically booting up for the first time. It will configure everything. If we go to our library, application support, PostLab Server, you can see that it's putting all these files in there, creating everything that's necessary. As long as it's starting, you can go to your GitLab page, but you probably won't see anything yet because it's still booting up. So please be patient. We will get there. But especially since this is the first time, it has to configure everything from scratch. Now you can see some kind of response. This is pretty normal behavior. It will get there. Yes, so it's ready now. Although it says still starting, we can start configuring the server. To do that, you need to supply the password for the root user. So change the password. Oh. Make sure it's the same. So now you can sign in with user root and the password you've just entered. So welcome to your Git server. We're not done yet because we still need to adjust some settings. Here you can see your admin area, or you can go to your admin area with this button. But you don't have any projects yet. You don't have any groups yet. It's completely empty. So let's go to the admin area. Here you can see that you're up to date with your GitLab instance because you just downloaded the latest version. If you need to update your version, it will say it here, and then you can click here on update and it will update your GitLab server. So go to settings, go to general and click expand. So you need to go to and click partial protected. This is all okay. Make sure it's on private. Check this box for public. And then your import sources. This is the source that you want for say you're using gitlab.com for PostLab projects already. You can import those inside your own GitLab instance if you like. If you don't use that, just check it off. It will just get in the way. Okay, make sure that the enabled Git access protocol is HTTPS only and click save. Also, you need to make a setting in CI and CD, this is the continuous integration and development. Click expand and make sure this is off. We don't need that for PostLab. So save your changes. Now, we're almost done. So we've got only one user now and no groups yet. So let's create a group. and call it customer A and create the group. So when you go back to your group list, you see here your group. So only certain users or administrators are allowed to create groups on this main level. When a user logs in, you can decide if you want your normal users to be allowed to set up groups at this main level. In our situation, we said no, only admins will create groups, or the customers, so to keep everything nice and tidy. So if you want to do that, I'll show you how to do that. But first, that's an advanced setting inside of PostLab Server. So go to PostLab Server. It's healthy now, as you can see. Go to Settings and go to Advanced Settings. Now this is a simple text file with a lot of settings that you can set in for your GitLab instance. Yeah, it's huge. The setting we need is pretty at top, and is the GitLab user privileges. And this is GitLab default can create group. So all you need to do is make sure that it's activated by removing the first character, and it sets to false. Save it, close it, and that's it. So when you save it now, you get the warning again for the local host, and click rebuild. So it will now switch off the server, rebuild the server with the setting that default users cannot create groups at root level, and start it up again. It starts to configure GitLab with the new setting. Also, the server is down here, but that's logical because it's just starting up. And again, you have to wait until it's started up. You can see now it's starting up much faster because it doesn't need to download the container again. So keep trying and eventually it will start up. Yes, it will start up. Okay, so we've still got our groups, everything is in place. So let's create a new user. You can do that through the admin or simply register a new user here. And I'm in. As you can see now, I don't have all the extra blocks because I'm not allowed now to create groups. You can see it's missing over here. And I'm no admin as well. So let's log back in as root. Go back to the admin area. If you still want me to be able to create directories, you can also see that I'm not allowed to create groups, but I can switch that on or create an make myself an admin as well. So let's do that for this demo, but you're free to do whatever you like over here. Sign out and sign back in as myself. And you can see I can now create a group. So I do not belong yet to this customer group, but it's a public group. But being an admin, I can put myself in it as let's make myself an owner right away. And now it's my group. As you can see, this is pretty annoying that you see this. There are a lot of settings for each user or individual you can set up. So these are settings for my user. So go to settings, preferences, and my default dashboard, I'd like that to be my groups. You can change it into anything you like. And also I want this to be activity. So when you go in the project in a web view, you see what has changed. So when I now click on GitLab, it will show you your groups. Awesome. So let's configure PostLab now. Open PostLab and it's just a clean install. Yes, please check. Agree. And this is now, so let's set up the server. So make sure it's HTTP and then the IP address or DNS name you've set up in PostLab Server. I want to connect as this user, my own user. It will put that right in the keychain. So I want to use the PostLab interface and let's create a personal access token. Call it PostLab. Make sure API is checked. Create it. So this is your token and make sure you save it because that's the only time you're going to see it. But since this being a test server and all, it's not necessary. So that's it, all done. And you can see a customer A. Let's create a group. Project 1. Always allow. And it will then create a PostLab of GitLab project and configure it to become a PostLab project. So as you can see, it's all working now fine. And let's start with a rough cut. So that's it. You now have got your server working. You're able, you can easily close that one. It's still running in the background. As long as Docker is running, your server is running. So that's it. You've got yourself a running GitLab server and you can start creating groups and users and start working together like you've never done before. Enjoy!